Hey, what's up, guys? Today we got this 1990 Honda Fourtrax 300 four-wheel drive that it's a buddy of a buddy's of mine. Brought it to me with a couple issues. Said the brakes are making noises and it's not running quite right. So I already did go around it and diagnose a few things that it's going to need. As far as it not running right, it's going to need the carburetor pulled off. It does idle just fine, on and off choke, but it doesn't like to rev. It pops and cracks and backfires when you try to rev it. Sometimes it'll stall. So yeah, we'll pull the carburetor off and clean that. As far as the brakes making noises, the cable, rear brake cable up here for the front lever, it's seized pretty tight. So, and it doesn't like to move. So it's causing squeaking noises from the rear brakes. It's constantly dragging on a little bit back here. So, and the front brakes, you didn't mention it, but the front brakes, the lever just pulls right back to the handlebars with very little front brakes. So we're gonna go and adjust them, see if they might need bled out too. But yeah, we'll go from there. And the other thing that I've seen that may be causing a running issue is the spark plug wire. The cap does not clip on to the plug anymore. So I will order a new cap and a new plug for it. That way it's a good solid connection there. Alright guys, let's get at it. Alright, let's get at adjusting these brakes. So to adjust the brakes on these front drum Honda ATVs, you're going to pull this red plug out here. And it's best if you leave the wheel on. That way you can rock the wheel back and forth while you're spinning the adjuster inside with a screwdriver. Just a flathead screwdriver, that's all you need. But if that adjuster inside is froze, then you will have to disassemble everything. I'll show you around the other side what it looks like inside. But I was lucky none of the adjusters are seized on this. But I'll try to shine a light through this hole and find the adjuster to show you guys where it's at. I don't know if you can see the little castle adjuster nut in there. Kind of hard to tell, but I'll get a better picture of it for you on the other side. But all you'll do to adjust it is you'll put your screwdriver in, and then to have more brake, you're going to want to turn the screwdriver to the left side if you're on the left side of the machine for the top one. And if you adjusted it too far, you need to turn your screwdriver in towards the hub for this top one. And then there's going to be another one down around here on this side, right around that area. So what you do is you just take and rock your wheel back and forth, adjust it out until you get drag on the wheel or the wheel stops, and then just turn it in like a wee little bit, like a eighth of a turn or a quarter of a turn. And you do that with both of the adjusters. Get them both adjusted the whole way out, and then just in a little bit. You might have a little wee bit of drag is fine, but you don't want the wheel like seized and stopped. But I'll show you here on the other side what it all looks like internally, so you get a better idea of it. But yeah, I already have the wheel off. The other part you have to take off are these just 8mm bolts, 2 of them. And then your drum, sometimes you have to give it a whack, break it loose from rust buildup. And then here you'll be able to see what these adjusters look like. But right there's the one on this side. And like I said, to adjust the brakes out to grab better, you're going to want to turn this adjuster that way. And then if you need to go in, you turn them that way. And then you have the same thing, another adjuster right down here for the other side. And now that we got the brakes adjusted, we have a nice solid lever. Nice and solid. So I fixed the front brake issues. I did go ahead and bleed all the brake fluid out because it was just rotten. There wasn't any air or anything in the lines or in the caliper or in the wheel cylinders, but that fluid was just bad. So I got it all cleaned out for him. New fluid in there. There was a little bit of moisture up in the master cylinder, but that's all cleaned out and taken care of. Now we'll move on to some carburetor issues. Alright, we got the front brake issues taken care of. Let's get the carburetor issues taken care of. We'll start by removing the tank. Take that one bolt out there. Pull off the side panels. And remove the fuel line. And hopefully your tank will just come right off. There we are. And then for the carburetor, to get into it, we'll start by getting this air box moved back a little bit or out of the way, one or the other. I don't know, give us maybe a little bit more room, I don't know, what to Looks like this machine might be stored outside. Probably be a pretty good guess. We gotta disconnect the fuel lines, not fuel lines, throttle cable, choke cable, throttle cable off. We'll get after our choke cable. See if we can pull it up here a little bit. So we have a little bit more room to get to that choke. We should be able to get in there now. Nope, grab the wrong wrench. This is it. There we are. The owner said the Carburetor's never been cleaned since he's owned it. I don't know how long he's owned it, but what, this is 32 years old. So it probably at least needs a cleaning. We'll see what it looks like when we get inside of it. Maybe we'll have to order a rebuild kit for it. There it is. Nice and dirty. Alright, let's get it on a bench and get it taken apart. Let's see what we got inside here. Not terribly dirty. But something I'm just now noticing is this is not an OEM carburetor. It's one of those cheapo aftermarket Amazon, eBay buys. They never run right. Jets are always the wrong size. That's probably why it doesn't run right from the get-go. Cheap carburetor. For anyone watching us, don't buy them. Get the original one fixed, rebuilt, or even order an OEM carburetor. Yeah, because the main jet has no markings on it. How do you even know what size it is when they build them? No numbers, no markings, nothing. Again on the pilot, nothing. Get a different pair of pliers. Over the screen. The emulsion tube's pretty clean and clear. So, it did idle fine, but it didn't like to rev. Can see a hole through the main, but how will we know if it's the right main with no markings on it? and it's clean and clear. My guess is it's probably the wrong size main. It's either running too rich or too lean. I have a box of mains. I'll have to go through and look up, see what's supposed to be the OEM size, and go from there. Let's turn this fuel screw in to see where it's set at before we take it out. Half one, half two, half three, 3.5 to lightly seated. So since it did idle okay, that's where we'll set it back to, is 3.5 turns out. Get a small pick. I don't know why they figured they needed to add those washers to the bottom side. All it's supposed to have is just a screw, the spring, metal washer, and a rubber O-ring on top. I don't know why they needed to add them. Bonus, I guess. Let's see what's under the lid. Okay. A little bit of tarnish on the needle, not too bad. Yeah, I'm guessing his biggest issue is it's probably never ran that great with this carburetor. I'll see if I can't find some jetting that'll work right with it. Meanwhile, spray this down with some cleaner. Clean it up a bit. Alright guys, we got this carburetor all cleaned up now. And I did some research to look at what the main jet sizes are supposed to be. Since it did seem to idle okay, I wasn't too concerned about the pilot jet and the idle circuit. But I did look up the main, and it's supposed to be a 120. I do have a 120 that probably came out of something else in my hoard of jets. It's not branded of, you know, who made it. But I don't have a real good way of measuring these either. It's not like I can flow test them. So just to measure, just to see how big they are internally, I just took a Sharpie on this old needle that I have, and then I just inserted it into the jet, gave it a twist, and that gives me a line as to about how big that hole is inside. So that was the one that came out of it, and a 120 that's supposed to be in it doesn't nearly go that far. It goes probably about maybe 1/8 of an inch lower on that needle. So we're going to try that, because I have a feeling the soot buildup in the muffler has me thinking it's been running too rich. And you know what, I should pull the spark plug out, see what that spark plug looks like. I'm gonna guess that it's probably black too. I'm gonna pull it out here real quick and bring it over. Yeah. It's pretty black also. So, I'm thinking it's running too rich. And as far as the needle, like the needle taper it's supposed to have, I don't know. It did seem to crack and pop when you slowly got on it, and then it didn't like full throttle. It would stall and crack and pop. So, I don't know. The needle, we're going to leave it at the setting it's at the moment. And maybe we'll raise it one, lower it one, see how it goes. But I'm going to start with the 120 that I have in my hoard, and we're going to throw her back together, see how it runs. If it does run better with that 120, then we'll know it was definitely too rich. Well, we know it's too rich now because how awful that spark plug looks and the build up in the muffler. Our fuel screw, it was at 3.5 turns out, so we'll just set it back to that, and I'll adjust it if I feel it needs adjusted. So lightly seated, half one, half two, half three, half. What do you guys think? Think it's gonna run any better? I hope it will. If not, oh well, we'll pull the carburetor back out and try something else. I got plenty of jets. At least this one. Usually these clone cheap carburetors are a different thread than your standard. It's supposed to be in a Mikuni or a Kian. But surprisingly, the Kian jets fit in that. I was very surprised with that. Because I've had a couple I've come across where someone just bought the machine, wasn't running right. I get it, sure enough, it has a cheap carburetor on it. I go to jet it, and I can't jet it because all the jets they put in there are different thread. I did look up a new carburetor. They're no longer available for this machine. Looked up good used carburetors, and they can be bought on eBay for between $80 to $100. which if we can't get this one to run right, it's probably what I'll end up doing, because I'm definitely not into buying another one of these cheap ones. My little guy must be right near the garage door. I can hear him in there playing. Alright, she's back together. Let's get her back in the machine.